How to be in your 20s after only knowing chaos. How to navigate life when you don't know how to do it. Good morning. It's not morning, it's 5 o'clock, but we're making a quick meal because I kind of forgot to cook in an organized manner. Alright, I just threw on some breadcrumbs, vegetable oil, and it's getting all cooked up. I kind of don't need it to like cook all the way through because I'm also just really hungry. To continue the girl dinner vibes, couscous. This takes like 5 minutes to be ready. Hot water, gonna boil it. This is my little baby that I'll be with for the next few days. She's so sweet. Hello. My cheeks have been so rosy lately. I honestly don't know why. I always like to cook things with angel numbers. Alright, now we're gonna cook up the couscous, put the tofu on top, eat some soup. And then I want to talk to you. Okay, stick around. I want to talk to you about being in your 20s, okay? About how to be self-secure in your 20s, about how to navigate life when you don't know how to do it. We're gonna chat. My meal. The mountains and the trees. So, I want to call this video How to Be in Your 20s After Only Knowing Chaos. And disclaimer, I'm not going to really get into like hard topics that much in terms of like why you would, like what chaos is or what that means. Like if it resonates, it resonates. But this is just going to be kind of a light, like advice, and a little get ready because I'm having a slow day and I'm about to like just take a shower. I need to take a puppy for a walk as well. But I kind of just want to take you throughout this little slow get ready with me in the evening and talk about the things I've learned in my 20s on how to adult, basically. And I'm saying after only ever knowing chaos because I realized the advice I have to give is only applicable to my real experiences, where I didn't realize that I didn't have the same kind of support that other people in their 20s would have. You know, as an 18-year-old, I really created such this like idyllic, I think that's how you say that word, idyllic dream of what my life wanted to look like. Pause for food. But I want to learn how to make agadashi tofu because there's a restaurant that used to be open that was run by a mom and like her daughter, and it was like real authentic Japanese food, and it was also just so cute and beautiful in there, and they made little keychains and like everything was just so beautiful, and they had little like Japanese phrases, and like it was just like so cute and like childlike and whimsy, and then the food was like some of the best Japanese food I've ever had, from living in cities, from living in places, you know, that like have lots of like really good food. Their like agarashi tofu is so good, and I want to learn how to make it. But I'm at the point, I'm 24, about to turn 25 in April, and I've reached this like middle point of my 20s where I'm really not the same person I was even a year ago, even 2 years ago. My body has changed a lot, my mind, how I think has changed a lot. The frontal lobe fulfilling its duties, you know, like so much I've learned so far about things, about just like how to exist that nobody ever really taught me. And I kind of have learned that I have like 3 themes that will really help you if you are navigating 20-somethinghood. And that is, be slow, listen to your heart, and forgive yourself and everybody else. Number 3, emphasis. But we'll start with be slow. Being slow for me is honoring my body's cycles, staying in tune with my physical needs, routines, figuring out my eating schedule, sleep schedule, exercise routine. You're basically taught how to do as a child. You have to reteach yourself when you're like 19 years old, living in a place by yourself for the first time with a roommate who's also learning these things. And there's just so many dynamics that are just like so hard to figure out when you're just by yourself. And when I was thinking about these things, it's like, as an 18-year-old, I was really good at doing yoga every day. I was like eating vegan, and I kind of worked throughout high school to like build these routines. But then when I'm out in the world by myself and what I learned, and then like the influx of social scenes and all these things that will just make your life up, all these things will just make your life up in that like really early phase of development as a 20-year-old. The puppy's like running around a little bit. All those things like really need you to, for me, like I was really caught off guard with my energy, with my hormones, with my emotions. I was basically going through like second phases of puberty, which is really normal if you have XX chromosomes. You basically go through like a whole phase of puberty, I feel, that no one talks about, like my menstrual cycle changing, my body changing, my hips, my, you know, body parts growing and expanding, gaining weight, losing weight, gaining weight, losing weight. All of those things really are so difficult when you're also navigating friendships, heartbreak, depression, stress, financial stress, financial anxiety, family dynamics. And so going slow, learning how to live day by day will get you through. Learning how to be slow and building self-security and community, finding the balance in those interludes, which is something I'm still learning how to do, and finding and being slow in who you allow to be close to you, because especially in that like 19-20 phase, like if you're just going to school, if that's your choice, or you're just moving out by yourself and you're with other people who are like moving out for the first time, we don't talk about how deeply disconnected from your family, how much that disconnection from family really affects, you know, just like living. I'm gonna go let the puppy out real sec. All right, back to business. Anyways, like looking at things like reparenting, like becoming your own mother, becoming your own father. Learning how to be your own parent is really what will get you through, and then like building trusting relationships with people who can be support networks when your support network that you should have had since birth is not feasible, functional, or safe. And I think like, yeah, like just learning how to live day to day and like making plans of feeding myself, doing exercise, resting, drinking water, like that's kind of what my life is centered around lately, and it can be hard, but it is also like the path to peace. And that's what your body and your nervous system are always gravitating to, is harmony and peace. And being slow for me became a journey of doing my practices of meditating, creating observations about, you know, the times in the days where I would have really low blood sugar and I would just like need to eat food, like learning to prep for those things, becoming my own caretaker, and also knowing to not, also following my heart through how I want to design my life, through my routines, through my caretaking. If I don't want to live a conventional life, if I want to move against conformity, how do I do that in my own way? It's just like, I feel like if I could tell myself at 18 what really I want to be thinking about, it's not about the external kind of materialistic gratifications that come from having certain relationships or going on certain adventures, having certain things like checked on off the task list, because when you get older, you start to realize that like that external task list is almost like it creates so much meaning, and I definitely like try to achieve my dreams, and I've had some I've been able to like mark some big dreams of mine off, but it's only through building that stability and grounding, and taking my time. Being slow also means not putting pressure on myself for conforming to certain things. I've been in and out of school. I've dropped out of school, I've gone back to school, and I've dropped out of school again. I'm still thinking about different educational pathways I might want to adventure on in my life. And we also live in such a changing world that like there really are no rules, and it's just like, what do you want? You know, like what do you want to build in your life, and how can you make that happen for yourself? And I'm not here to try to teach you how to like listen to yourself or like follow your heart. I'm just kind of sharing like the way I would have wanted to be spoken to about like life, because when I'm crying on the floor after having low blood sugar and my friend isn't talking to me and like everything feels crumbling, and I'm like trying to also manage my money and pay for rent, like no one talks about how difficult that is. Yeah, and like then on the flip side of that, when I do start developing my self-security, I then also have to be aware and use spiritual discernment about people who don't feel that within themselves, and they think that I will provide it for them. Because I've only been able to learn my own self-security through going through codependency and feeling anxious and like things like that. And if you want to learn about your attachment styles, you can check out like polysecure. There's like other things that describe attachment styles, and like polysecure is like about polyamory and developing like different relationships, or like ethically non-monogamous relationships, and like just the ethics of non-monogamy. But I also actually spend so much time talking about childhood wounds and trauma, and like the way that we develop attachment styles because of those things. And if somebody gave me the tools of understanding what CPTSD is and how that manifests itself, what my attachment style was, all these things, that would have been so much, I would have been given so much strength to be able to go out into relationships and not try to seek security from other places. And this is also under the umbrella of being slow, because while my 18-year-old self was imagining me at 20 years old, like, you know, like volunteering for like biodiversity projects and animals in like the Amazon rainforest or something, what was really happening was I was learning how to build a home. I was learning how to build inner safety. I was learning how to do dishes on a regular basis. I was learning how to just keep my life in the ways that is most beneficial to me. And that takes time and energy, and you're not racing to get anywhere. There's nowhere you have to be. You are exactly wherever you have to be. There's literally nothing you have to try to achieve, especially in your 20s. Like, take time to be extremely selfish, extremely self-oriented, learning your boundaries, learning what doesn't fly with you, like, especially in relationships, and if you are femme presenting or femme-bodied, like, creating strong boundaries with the boys who don't know how to, like, be of service to your inner sanctuary, because being slow means you get to observe the transitions of life that are happening and also observing your transitions. And it's just like that, yeah, it's like we are here to build peace after the storm we lived through, and we don't want to replicate that storm into our world again. And it may manifest in certain ways, it may manifest in these things, but spending time to learn about yourself and how to invest properly into what you want to fulfill, that will like guide you to everything magic. And yeah, like, don't lie to yourself when it gets hard. Don't lie to yourself that you don't know what you're doing. Don't lie to yourself, and like listen to that inner child in you. Like, I think the inner child for me is my biggest guide towards fulfilling my dreams. I also want to talk about the physical aspects of like being slow. You know, like having slow mornings where I'm reading, drinking tea. These are things I'm still trying to achieve. It's still hard for me, and like finding the in-betweens and doing kind of like harm reduction on my behaviors that I want to change, like having that self-forgiveness. Yeah, like being slow, following your heart, and forgiveness, they all weave into each other. And like, I feel like, especially if you're like Gen Z or the generation, I'm Gen Z, and I think it's like Gen Alpha that's after me. Like, our parents built structure through a really conformist way. Most of our parents probably did. And like, especially if you grew up with financial stress, like my parents, I think, got really scared about some of my life choices, but they were still supporting me, but they like, and also just the dynamics that are really unhealthy in general of just like not letting me be heard and like really listening to me and not supporting me in the ways I really needed. Like, when you're young and you're doing things that you may, like, YouTube is a beautiful place to learn how to like be a person, to be honest, and like watching people that like live stable lives and like learning to see, like, you know, like I was just watching Megan Hughes, who's like been a YouTuber for 10 years. She is now a mother, and she lives with her husband and like is baking and doing very wholesome life activities. And like, I think if you can learn how to find fulfillment in very wholesome life, small day-to-day routines, like, you're going to be so much more fulfilled. Hitomi, we all know Hitomi. Hitomi is a great person to watch to learn how to care for yourself. When you're young, learning, doing meditations with reparenting yourself, Reiki sessions, affirmations, like all these things that gravitate you towards that center of self-love and self-acceptance and peace. Like, you will be able to create so much from that, where 19-year-olds who are not given those skills can be seeking so much external things. Like, even just going to parties and like having people not safely indulge with substances and things like that, and like not creating safe relationships with alcohol or you know, like I love a little, it's good for my brain, but also smoking is not good for my body, and it's hard when I get into smoking patterns to get out of them, and I'm now in that phase right now, and these are like things that I can't like turn off. Like they're things I started when I was 19 and I'm now 24, learning how to undo like addictive patterns and things like that, you know. I meant to like, yeah, I also wanted to talk about like hormonally, like be prepared when you're 20 years old that you're about to, if you have XX chromosomes, and which I can speak of, I'm sure like people with XY chromosomes probably go through a lot too, because I also see that too. Like I see how people I've met when they're like 21 are a lot different when they're 24. So I think like a sense, not everybody at 24, but I think like this applies to any gender identity where your hormones will kind of dictate your actions, and like how your brain is developing will also dictate your actions. And like I was very surprised by how much my body has changed, and even like my face. I remember last year my face just like looked different than it did when I was 22. I have more body. My curves are more cemented. I don't look like a young person. I look young, but I also look like an adult. And like that's really hard to like see sometimes, because I like, you know, growing up in chaos and all these things, I was very parentified, so I didn't like always get to enjoy just like being really young. But yeah, my face has changed a lot. My body, my bodaciousness is coming in, and like my muscles, like if you don't work out consistently and then you hit like 23 and 24, like my knees have started to hurt if I don't move or like work out. Like I get muscle soreness, and I feel like this wave of like, oh, I have to slow down and really just take care of myself. And so it's important to like be prepped for that when you're in your early 20s, and understand like, you know, that the conventional world is not going to tell an XX chromosome person that they're about to go through a whole nother puberty cycle where their body is going to change, and you're going to change your face, your weight is going to change, you're are going to grow and shape out differently, and you know, the bottom peach is going to like do its thing, and like coming home to a new body within like a year, it was literally like, it's like a child going to sleep and they wake up and they're like 5 inches taller. Like there wasn't a lot of like grace period to me, and you know, I'm growing wrinkles. Like I have wrinkles on my forehead, and I take care of my skin. I like have to gua sha my skin. Not have to, I want to, but like doing routines that are really good for me, and like, you know, longevity. Like it's hard to like see yourself grow older sometimes, because especially if you grew up in chaos, it's like another additive grief of like, wow, like I didn't like, that's why just slowing down is so important, as I'm saying, because it's like you're the only person monitoring your growth and your changes, and it's like it can create so much grief and nostalgia, and also gratitude, you know, and like, yeah, it's like I'm coming up to my quarter of a life, and I already feel like I've lived so much that like now I'm really choosing to rest, and like my life could seem really boring to a lot of people, but I think it's because I'm learning to not put validation onto external gratification. And it's hard because, you know, when I was younger, I would like go out to parties or I'd go dance, and I still love to do those things, but like if I go to the club sometimes, which is very rarely, but I'll go to my like little queer DJ sets and dance my little booty and be the only one dancing sometimes at a room full of people. I love that. That's also being an adult, is doing things alone and being like, okay, like I'm here existing. Being a girl alone, like amazing. Yeah, just like when I go out or something, it's just so much different than I was when I was 20, where I was like, I could have stayed up. Like when I was 19 and 20 in that first year, like freshman year, whatever, I would literally stay out till like 3 a.m. most nights. And it's because I was seeking. Like I just didn't feel like, ultimately I didn't feel safe, but there's also like a really beautiful magic of it too. Like there's just the insecurity and not feeling like validated by my life. And so I was like going on drives a lot, but I'm also grateful I did that because I don't have the energy to like do that now. But I would do beautiful things. Like I live in the mountains, so I'd like go drive through the mountains at night and like see the moon and the stars, and like I kind of developed this relationship with nature through that. But I also just didn't know how to like be stable and calm and like create those routines, and I needed every day to be filled with like magic and energy, and like I'm just a little Aries sometimes too, but now I like that doesn't make me feel good. Now I'm like, let me eat my soup, be cozy, you know, really center in and like feel like I feel more badass with a good cooked meal and like wholesomeness, and people who like represent that to me too or reflect it back to me, than I do like going and jumping around. And going and jumping around is very needed and still very fun, but it's fun when I'm like also feel good about myself, and those are things I'm actively choosing to do rather than like feeling like I need them. So just to recap this section before we go into the other section, being slow in the early part of your 20s will give you so much more strength in roots to grow from when you get to like 24 and 25. Because you need that time to really understand yourself, because it's the first time in your life where all you really have is yourself. And I want you to be following your dreams in this life. And so in that time where you are navigating day-to-day life, the routines, all of these things that build up being an adult, if you go slow, you take your time, you nourish yourself, you can make really empowered choices about everything else, about relationships, about career choices, about school or not school, about where you want to live, travel, like how you want to live. All of those things will like just become so much more harmonious when you are moving from a place of inner love, inner worship, inner creation, and inner trust. Like, learn to trust yourself and move slow without putting too much pressure on what the outcome needs to be. And you will succeed. Because success is internal. It's not outside. Success is feeling content, feeling okay in life. Okay. I love you. I'm gonna catch you in a little bit. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna get prepped for a shower. Yeah. There are no rules, okay? Alright, now we've worked through how to be self-secure, how to take care of yourself. Now we're efficient. Now we are like, alright, we understand. I'm talking from my own experiences, but like, now I'm like, okay, I've kind of spent this year like navigating my mental health, being really radically honest and uncomfortable about it. communicating boundaries in friendships, testing out friendships, and then deciding that they're not actually what I need in those moments. Like, you know, we put the tools into practice. And when you feel good about that, my hair's a little grimy right now. I also like did a scalp massage thing with this guy. I don't support large companies, but these are the eco tools. Ew, mine is. Oh, gross. That's a little moldy and grody. Okay, but it's fine. These are the eco tools from Target. This is also the gua sha, body gua sha. This was $10, which I think is so much more affordable, and it works the same, if not better, and it feels really good. This is essential for my mental health. I think my trauma really lives in my body, and like if I don't wake up and like do this, like I notice a difference in my body, in my emotions, because they're all connected. Acupuncture. Let's see if there's a school around you that offers like affordable acupuncture, because that's really good for my hormones. But anyways, so now we've developed self-security, we got it, we're doing our meditations, we've created this flow within the structure. Now, following your heart, okay? Because we are here to live a destined, beautiful, abundant life. And if I'm not listening to my inner child and what I really want, I'm going to be choosing things that I had no intention to actually put my energy to. And I could wake up one day and be like, oh, I'm not in a place I want to be in. And following my heart to me has manifested into making really hard decisions, and then getting a lot more comfortable with making decisions that are beneficial for me and nobody else. Following my heart means not people-pleasing, not self-sacrificing for anybody, not deciding someone else has more power over me than I do. I'm 90% sure this is just water with rose water in it. And I'm just going to put leave-in conditioner in my hair. Yeah. But following my heart means like I have to also have boundaries. And